Hey guys, I'm Roger Gaming, and I'm your coach for the Las Vegas Corviknights. We are here for our Week 5 matchup. Let's get into it. So, to start things off, the first Pokemon's Tapu Koko. I don't think he'll bring, but out of all the Pokemon, the one I'm most unsure about, because it does seem pretty good against our team, but we do have things like Among Us that can wall it pretty effectively, and Mawile that can kill it if it gets hit up. And it does get one-shot by Dracovish, so he may bring it just because it's a really good fairy type and its dual stab's very good, but it also it has a weird matchup against my team, so I'm not sure. I don't think he'll bring Mimikyu just because we have fairly good Pokemon against it. Dracovish again can be a problem for it. It doesn't do much. It could be a bulk up set or a sword stance set if it really wanted to bring it, but I think there's other things on his team that are much better. I don't anticipate Seismitoad just because we have Vanillix and Amoonguss, which both kill it, and it can be checked fairly easily on my team. I don't really anticipate Rotom Heat as it is really gets destroyed by Dracovish, and he has other things on his team that do better, and Dracovish can just destroy it. Jolteon, I think, is not going to come just because it doesn't really do too much against my team. We have a very good ground type in Hippowdon, which walls it and can be a dedicated switch into it, and also helps with Coco and Rotom Heat, which is another reason why I don't think he brings those. Riolu is his mascot pick, so he's not going to bring it. And let's get into the team I anticipate him bringing. Alright, so he has a very threatening team here. This is really what I anticipate him bringing. Malmetal is just incredibly fun Pokemon to use. I haven't personally used it, but I hear it's a blast. It hits super hard with double Iron Bash, and it can be offensive or defensive. It has very good defensive stats, and I think its offense is pretty good as well. It's a pure steel type. I definitely anticipate it coming. It was one of his best Pokemon. He's brought it, I believe, every week, so I definitely anticipate it coming, and it can be a good check for like Mawile or some of our other threats, so I definitely think it's gonna come. I think Dragonite has to come. It's a very good check to some of our Mons. It can potentially be Dragon Dance set with its multi-scale. It lives pretty much any hit and can just do tremendous damage back. If it gets a Dragon Dance, it can be very, very threatening. And having good coverage for like Dragon, and it gets some other stuff. Our Darmanitan is gonna come just because it hits super hard with its Sheer Force ability. Flare Blitz can just do a lot of damage. Again, Dracovish can take it on pretty well, but forces us to have to run defensive Slowbro and some other things. So I think having it for sure is a good bring. It can hit really hard. Decidueye, I anticipate it coming just for our Slowbro. It can really kind of 1v1 it offensively. Its Grass Ghost typing is really good. It can Spirit Shackle if it wants to, forcing us to stay in and potentially ruin some of our game plans, which is interesting. He has Greninja. It's just regular Greninja. It can't be Battlebound, and it can't be Protein. So Greninja can be a really big threat just because of how fast it is, and it can hit just super hard with things like Dark Pulse for Slowking, and is a big threat. Another threat he has is Garchomp. Definitely, I think is coming just because it's rough skin and it's fairly good typing. I do have a decent fairy type, but Garchomp can take it fairly well. Just being able to Earthquake it and just absolutely obliterate it if he wants to. So I definitely think he doesn't have to worry about my Mega Mawile because of its amazing attack, and it can take hits fairly well if he wants to run a more defensive set. Overall, he seems very good. A lot of his Pokemon have different niches they can fill. I think this is the 6. He might switch out maybe Decidueye for like Tapu Koko or something. This is the team I anticipate him bringing. I think they can be very threatening given the rate set. They all pretty much get setup moves. And yeah, let's get into the Pokemon I did not bring. The first Pokemon I did not bring is Savali. I considered potentially doing a Savali Ice, since this team's super weak to Ice, but I thought I had a better matchup bringing Vanillix instead, as it has a little bit better of a move pool, in my opinion, for this match. Mandibuzz just kind of gets wrecked by Coco, so I didn't think that was a great matchup. Galvantula does not want to be anywhere near Darm. Darmanitan just absolutely destroys it. And I had a lot of weaknesses on my team to Darm, so I didn't bring like my steel types. And he has a Garchomp, which also destroys Galvantula. so I didn't do that. Same thing with Cobalion. He has a very good fire and ground type, so that doesn't really work. Mega Mawile was a possibility, but I felt like it got one-shot by too many of my opponent's Pokemon. It could do decent damage, and my opponent is very weak to Fairy, having a Garchomp and a Dragonite, but overall I think it just didn't quite fit what I was looking for this week. But overall, it's still great, Mon. And a little Yama, again, is not coming because it's just kind of a mascot pick. Alright, let's get into the team I did bring. So we're going to start off with Hippowdon. Hippowdon's very good this week because he has multiple electric types and attack his team. Stealth Rocks is very big this week because we want to break the multi-scale on Dragonite or force him to run heavy duty boots or whatever. Also, it does 25% to Darmanitan if he's not running heavy duty boots. We definitely want to have that going. We can do a lot of damage with things like Earthquake. Slack Off is there for longevity, and Toxic if we don't want to be set up on, so we can, if something's like in front of us, we can potentially go for Toxic and whittle them down, which I think could be very effective. We're also setting the Sandstream for Dracovish, making sure we get the full turns, because Dracovish does a great job against his team. Our next mon is going to be Amoonguss. Amoonguss can be very good against the Decidueye he has. Sludge Bomb being very good. Foul Play is there for just in case something wants to set up in front of us. We can Foul Play using their attack instead of ours and be able to do tremendous amount of damage to them. Clear Smog is also in case things get out of hand because he has a lot of setup opportunities for his team, such as a Dragonite or things. We don't really want to switch into that, but worst case scenario, we can live a hit and go for the Clear Smog, potentially ruining some of his strategies. This thing's mainly here for the Decidueye, though, as it can be a really big threat. It can also handle Tapu Koko if that comes, so that's something big. Sludge Bomb does a tremendous amount of damage, and if it's like a Calm Mindset, we can Clear Smog and get rid of those boosts. So yeah, let's get into our next mon. Alright, Vanillix I thought was absolutely incredible this week. His team is super weak to ice. Super weak to ice. So a Choice Scarf set I thought would be really good, Timid, so we outspeed the majority of his team. We can set up Aurora Veil if we need to, which halves the damage of all moves, both physical and special, for 5 turns I believe it is, but it only works if the Hail's up, so we're bringing Hail, which is kind of interesting with our Sand team, but I think it'll work out. Blizzard is there to hit the Dragonite. We can kill it with a Blizzard with its multi-scale intact. Freeze Dry is there for his water type, and also it helps with Garchomp. Both Blizzard and Freeze Dry do a tremendous amount to Garchomp, which is again 4 times a week to ice, and we can just and Blizzard also does really good against his Decidueye, so I think this could be very good. I had Ally Switch. I might change that. I don't think it does what I intended. I thought it originally switched out, but it only works in doubles from my understanding, so I probably will change that move. And yeah, let's get into our next mon. Slowbro is amazing this week. It's super bulky. I have Ice Beam again because this team is very weak to ice. Scald is there for the Darmanitan. Along with Slack Off, it helps me 1v1 it. I can live any hit it goes for. I anticipate probably it going for Flare Blitz on something like an Amoonguss, me switching in, being able to live the hit, Slack Off, or hit it with the Scald, being able to do a good amount of chunk of damage back to it, and then Flamethrower is there for the Melmetal, being able to hit that very hard. We are very defensive, so we are designed to live a hit from that thing, so we can take its double Iron Bash, and then hit it with a Flamethrower, do a pretty good chunk of damage to it, maybe snag a burn if we're really lucky. We have to watch out for the Decidueye, as its grass and ghost typing can be really hard for us to deal with. And we also need to watch out for the Greninja. It can take a hit from us pretty well, and it can hit us really hard with the Dark Pulse. Let's get into our Victini. We're going for a Life Orb set this week. We are going Special again. Special worked out well last week. So we have Blue Flare Grass Knot for the Seismitoad, and Thunderbolt just for added coverage. It does very well against his team, just overall hitting things. HP Ice is very good this week, as his team again is very weak to ice, so I wanted to try to make sure we take advantage of that. We do, I believe, we do a ton to Garchomp with HP Ice, as it's getting boosted by our Life Orb. We also do a good chunk to the Dragonite. Thunderbolt is there for the Greninja. In case we predict the switch, we can hit it very hard with a Thunderbolt and just deal a tremendous amount of damage. Our team has 2 Psychic Tapes on it, so we have to be very mindful of the Greninja. That thing can be very threatening, which also helps with having Among Us on the team, which can take some of those hits. And yeah, let's get into our final mon. Alright, so we have a Choice Band Dracovish rocking Sandrush ability. Vicious Wren does absolutely great damage. Outrage is there for his numerous dragon types. Psychic Fangs is there in case he has any screens or anything. Crunch is there just to hit really hard. And we have the Sandrush ability, which doubles our speed in sand. That is being provided by Hippowdon. And I think this sets can do really good work. We can live multiple hits. I believe we live 1 hit from a double Iron Bash, and we 2-shot, so we can live a hit and hit it 2 times with Vicious Rend and be able to kill the Melmetal, and nothing else on his team really wants to take it. Crunch can, I believe, 1-shot the Decidueye, which is good, and Vicious Rend just does absolutely tremendous damage to the rest of his team. So as soon as we get this sand up, the goal is to basically weaken his team and set up Dracovish for a late game sweep. That is the goal, because Vicious Wren is just insane. Alright, so my opponent brings the team I was expecting. I'm very happy he did not bring Tapu Koko. That could be very problematic for our team. I'm going to lead Victini. He leads Dragonite, which is fine. I'm going to go for the HP Ice to break this thing's multi-scale and get some damage off. He's Yachi Berry, which halves the damage of Ice-type moves. So that was a good bring on his part, because he was pretty sure I was going to bring Ice. He's Tailwind, which is an interesting set. Tailwind doubles the speed of my opponent's team for 4 turns. So I am going to switch into Slowbro here as he switches into Greninja. So I don't want to be in on Greninja, so I'm going to switch out into Among Us, which can take a Dark Pulse, no problem, and we are burning his Tailwind turns, which is good. I can go for the Giga Drain here and try to get some health back on Greninja. He may switch, which is fine, but our main goal is to get some damage off on this thing. If he stays in, he does go Dragonite, so we are going to want to switch back into our dedicated switch, which is Slowbro. We can go for the Ice Beam, and if he wants to set up another Tailwind, and do some tremendous damage to him. And I don't anticipate him switching into, he might switch into like Melmetal, but he has Fire Punch, which is a really good bring against my team from Among Us. I'm surprised he didn't, if he went for a flying move, that might have been better. But I'm happy, he seems to be more of a supportive set, which is good. Decidueye is going to come in here. We should do a tremendous amount of damage to it. We do pretty good damage to it with the Ice Beam. I can switch into my Among Us here on whatever he wants to go for. Among Us is very good defensively this week for his special hits. He has Poltergeist, which is definitely I was expecting. Poltergeist does a lot more damage. I thought he would be Spirit Shackle to try to lock some of my things in. But yeah, so I can hit him with a... He is able to kill me with a Brave Bird, which is unfortunate. I can go into... What do I want to go into? I can go into my Victini, which is good. I can go for a Blue Flare here, which should hit this thing very, very hard. He goes Greninja, which is interesting. I don't have a great switch into Greninja, but his team is getting pretty weakened. So Hippowdon would be a good switch. I can set up the sand and go for a sweep and just try my best to sweep. As long as the Greninja and the pretty much everything were pretty good. So I'm going to go with Dracovish here. I can go for the Vicious Rend. Nothing really wants to take this. on his team. His best switch is Malmetal. He can live 2 hits. He goes Garchomp. That's a mistake because he's dead. My guess is he did that to get the rough skin, which is fine. So that's 1 kill for Dracovish. I'm probably Melmetal's his next hit. Yeah, he goes straight Melmetal, which is fine. I can live 2 hits from this thing. No problem. I do 56%, which is good. And he's going to double Iron Bash, is my guess. Yeah. So I live that no problem. He does get the crit, which is fine. And I should have the sweep, potentially. Unless he has some odd move on his Pokemon. Melmetal's dead, so that's 2 for Dracovish, taking the game. And Dragonite's multi-scale's broken, which is good. He might go Dragonite. He goes Darm. I can kill Darm with a Vicious Ren, no problem. And Dracovish is just putting in work this week. Wow. I really liked his matchup this week. Dracovish had a very good matchup against this team. Dragonite. I may switch here. I think switching is probably a good idea into Victini in case he has something tricky. Yeah, extreme speed. So that was a good play on my part, since extreme speed could potentially have killed me. So I did not want to take that chance. I can go for the Thunderbolt here if I want to, or just go for the HP Ice, which is probably the better play. So Dragonite's done. And we can go for he'll probably go, I don't anticipate him going to Decidueye. Greninja's probably definitely what he goes. So Greninja should outspeed me here, but I can sack. I think now's the time to sack my Victini and just get up the. I actually outspeed, which is really interesting. He must have had like no speed on his Greninja. That's crazy. So I believe that means Victini sweeps has the game. Because I can go for the blue flare and that should kill unless he's choice scarfed. Yeah, which I don't think he is. Alright, so Victini picks up the game. That's a nice 4-0. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.